It's live now.
Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Councillor Chris Atwell, Cabinet Member for Communities and Central Services. Welcome to this meeting, which is being held virtually in response to the limitations placed on governance by the COVID-19 pandemic. The City Solicitor has advised that this meeting will be run by reference to the model standing orders as set out in the Local Authorities Coronavirus Flexibility of Local Authority Meetings Regulation 2020 number 392. The meeting is being broadcast to enable the press and public to view it. Please, can members and officers turn their microphones off when not speaking to avoid potential feedback. I will now ask the opposition spokespersons to introduce themselves. Councillor Tom Coles.
Good afternoon, I'm Councillor Tom Coles. I'm a councillor for Fratton Ward.
Thank you, Tom. Councillor Jeanette Smith.
Councillor Jeanette Smith, I am a councillor for Baffins Ward.
Thank you, Jeanette. And Councillor Benedict Swan.
Good afternoon, Councillor Benedict Swan, and I am a councillor for Copner Ward.
Thank you, Ben. I will now ask officers to introduce themselves. Anne Cairns.
Good afternoon, I'm Anne Keynes and I'm Head of Acquisitions and Disposals.
Thank you, Anne. Natasha Edmonds.
Good afternoon, Natasha Edmonds, Director of Corporate Services.
Thank you, Natasha. Paul Griffith.
Yes, Paul Griffith, Principal Solicitor, Legal Services.
Thank you, Paul. Sue Page.
Sue Page, Finance Manager.
Thank you, Sue. Jackie Painting.
Jackie Painting, Assistant Library and Archive Service Manager.
Thank you. Vicky Pletas.
Vicky Pletas, Senior Local Democracy Officer here.
Thank you, Vicky. Alison Smart.
Good afternoon, I'm Alison Smart and I'm a Housing Business Partner for Housing, Neighbourhood and Building Services.
Welcome, thank you. Who else have we got? Tom Southall.
Good afternoon, members. Tom Southall, Assistant Director for Property and Investment.
Thank you, Tom. And John Stedman.
I'm John Stedman. I'm Modern Records Manager.
Thank you, John. No written deputations have been received for this afternoon's meeting. However, Councillor Lee Hunt wishes to speak in respect of agenda item 4, and I will hear that when we move to that item later on. Right, let's turn to the agenda. Apologies for absence. Any apologies?
No, Chair, everybody's here.
Yeah, thank you. Declarations of members' interests. Any declarations, members? Councillor Smith.
Just my normal one, which is I'm a paid official of Unison for Hampshire, but there's nothing on the agenda that should preclude me from the meeting anyway.
Thank you, Jeanette. Anybody else? No. Let's move on to agenda item 3, which is Portsmouth City Council Digital Preservation Policy and Procedures. Who's presenting? John, I guess.
I think so, yes.
John, thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you for the report. In addition to the report you've provided, is there any additional information that you'd like to share with us?
Not other than the reports we already have. However, I would add that it's become increasingly clear that having a digital preservation policy and making proper provision for the long-term preservation of the Council's modern records in digital format it's become clear that that's increasingly important as planning for the rollout of Office 365 and moving Council digital files into the cloud has progressed.
Thank you, John, and thank you for the report. I mean, it sets out very clearly the importance and need for this policy. Can I open it up to members, opposition spokespersons? Any questions for John on the report? Yes, Jeanette.
I've got a question, but also got a comment, because the digital threats have been identified as urgent as far back as December 17, and then again in March 19, and then again in February 21. And what makes it urgent now? And I grant you, I've just heard that John has said about Office 365, but that's always been planned. And what is going to be happening to the manual records that we keep, which are historical data?
Nothing is happening to the manual records. There isn't there is no plan to digitize any of the paper records currently stored in modern records. That would be an extremely expensive proceeding, and it would also be very difficult to do because a number of them are in formats which is not easy to scan. So we will continue to keep paper records in the modern records for the foreseeable future. We first discussed this about 3 to 4 years ago, and at the time the exact costs weren't determined, and there was no budget provision. We have tried to bring this forward before. However, we were told that until there was budget provision to actually implement the policy, it was not feasible for the council to adopt it as a policy.
Jeanette?
Sorry, just to follow up on that, where's the budget coming from then? How is it being provided now when it wasn't before?
Our finance team have found the money because it deemed an important enough thing to do for the money to be found. Sue Page, could you comment on that as well?
Sure. Yes, we within the service and the portfolio, we identified the appropriate amount of money, because it's only for the license fee, isn't it, that we're talking about, and made that available when we calculated the budget this year.
How much is that?
The license, I believe, is £8,000. Is that correct, John? Is that the latest figure?
It's slightly less than that. It's 5.5, nearly 6,000, because we are part of a consortium which allows us to buy the license more cheaply, or we will be part of a consortium. The budget also includes provision for purchase of some Glacier storage in the cloud, which is much cheaper than standard S3 storage.
Okay. You've got to forgive me, I haven't seen any budget papers or any financial papers for 18 months, so that's why I had to ask the question on how much it costs. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Natasha?
Thank you. Sorry, just finding the mute button. I think the other thing I would add is that one of the reasons that perhaps it has raised itself in importance is, as we are developing and moving the IT strategy forward, we're doing more analysis on the records that we hold. And some of that analysis has identified a significant number of records that we do need to prioritise preservation of. Some 17 million records are currently held on our on-premises servers, and a number of those will fall within a requirement for retention and digital preservation. So we have a lot more detail now than we probably have ever done on what we need to keep and the scale of its importance.
Thank you, Natasha. Members, any other questions for John? No. Okay. Well, before I move to my decision, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank John and your team for the time you gave me when I became portfolio holder, spending some time showing me around and helping me to better understand the work you do. I mean, I think it's important work, and I suspect it's work that goes largely unrecognised. So thank you very much for the work you do. So to the decision, well, I'm happy to approve the digital preservation policy, which forms appendix 1 of the report that you have in front of you, members. Thank you, John. You're welcome. We move on to item 4, which is Angerstein Road. Councillor Lee Hunt, welcome. Welcome, Lee.
Yeah, good afternoon.
You have...
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, and to see you all too. All your lovely smiling faces on this sunny spring day. Forget the glasses, the dogs have been chewing on them. Never mind. I always try to raise a smile. It's always harder with some people, but never mind. Anyway, do you want me to start going now or whatever?
Yes, please. As you know, you have up to 6 minutes to
just 6 minutes. That's not fair. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to come along and support this report, obviously, because we all know that the council has a 2,000 waiting list. And I know that's not necessarily the point of your report today, but it is to a degree. I mean, I think, and I heard the other day, people were talking about how we're all getting more inquiries in our inboxes with people who need to be rehoused for various reasons. I'm dealing with quite a lot of cases at the moment, trying to help people. And it's always very hard when we have to turn around to them and say, well, we can't deal with it just yet. And some people have been waiting for a very long time, 3 or 4 years. So, this initiative today to work with Vivid and with PHCT in order to refurbish some houses which have been empty for quite a long time, and I know them very well because when I was a policeman in North End, and this is another thing I could touch on and talk about all day, but very often women would come to the counter on a Friday or a Saturday night, having been assaulted and beaten up and bloodied, and they could come into the counter and they could come to the police station, and we would try and help them, take statements, so on, then walk round with their cases to this address where they could get some help and support, and well, certainly it's addressed in there. But it's changed over the years, and now, of course, it's been neglected for so long for a number of reasons. So this initiative, together with all the others that are being done, like buying back all these 500 council homes, which the council's launched and is doing right now, and to buy up suitable private homes too, in order to help people on the housing waiting list is very welcome. When we do this one, and I'm sure you'll all agree the report today, can we remember that there are neighbours? So I've been dealing with this property now for nearly over 18 months, probably 2 years, ever since I was re-elected, and Alison knows what I'm talking about, that there are neighbours that we must take account of too. So it's only been sort of maintained over this time. So to see this initiative today is very, very welcome indeed. And it means that this property will be got back into use more quickly than before. So, I do welcome it. I think the council's doing a very good job in embracing all sorts of initiatives in order to house people, and a lot of people are working very hard to do this, and the sooner this one comes back on stream, as it were, I'll be very pleased indeed. But when you do the report, or the officers are listening, I know, but we must consider the neighbours and get on with this as quickly as we possibly can to help those people there who've been fed up with waiting. So yes, indeed, I do welcome it, and so I've come along to say that, and to thank everybody for working so hard to bring back other properties into use, so we get more people onto the waiting list. So, and the other thing that I'm really pleased to see is that we'll have nomination rights in this property, which is again very welcome. And it's a really great partnership between Vivid, PHCT, and the council. So well done to everybody who sorted it out. Thank you very much indeed. Very welcome.
Thank you, Lee. To the report, who's presenting this afternoon?
Anne Keynes.
Good afternoon, Anne. In addition to the report we have in front of us, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing to add to the report.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Anne on the report? Jeanette, over to you.
Just to clarify 2 points with Councillor Hunt. Angerstein Road was never a refuge. It was always Portsmouth area rate crisis. And also, when I took the decision in on the 20th of December 2018, I was the portfolio holder then and took the decision to transfer it over. There was no councillor support from that ward, including the Lib Dems. So it's interesting, and I'm delighted we've got support now from one of the ward councillors. My other question is, why has it taken 2 years for my initial decision to transfer it over, and even raised by the Housing Trust itself? Until recently, there was a meeting involving Vivid. PCC officers were at an impasse with the heads of terms. So what went wrong, and why has it taken so long? Because it is a good initiative, but I thought this was all done and dusted, but obviously not.
If I can step in on that part, obviously, Councillor Smith, you and I were at the very initial meeting where we met with the solicitors. From the outset, when I became involved, which was beginning part of 2019, the trust, who were very, very new in their infancy, didn't have a clear direction as to what it was they were looking for. So part of my role as a housing business partner is to work with local charities, the trust being one of them, to actually work with them to establish what it is we as an authority would like from them. They initially thought they would just bring back the 2-3 bed houses. So following on from that meeting we had, I've met with them now every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. We've worked through a feasibility. We've worked with 2 sets of architects. The trust felt that the first set of architects were not necessarily delivering the feasibility they wanted, so they engaged a second set of architects. They'd initially had funding from Homes England revenue funding to set themselves up as a CLT. They then made the decision that they would like to go for registered status with Homes England. So the status can take anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to become a registered RP. That left the trust in a position where they couldn't feasibly deliver the project as quickly as they wanted to. So with the support of Homes England and myself, we suggested that they worked with an RP, which was Vivid. And you're quite right, the conversations with Vivid only started last September in relation to Vivid taking the freehold lease from us on a tri-party agreement that once the CLT have their registered status, the properties will transfer to the CLT as originally planned, and they would then have the scheme under their guarantor to do. For Vivid to agree the transfer from us to them, it had to go through their board as well. So we had to wait for all parties to have agreement before we could realistically come back and move forward to deliver this. So they have, although it has been a long time coming, everything that I've done with them, everything we've worked through has got to this point where we have, as you would say, all our ducks in one row to deliver 4 properties to house 4 families, 4 2-bed, 4-person properties to house 4 families rather than 2 3-bed houses. They have an understanding of the properties. They have an understanding of how it can be done. They understand the costings that are there. And they are now going to have the benefit of being able to apply for affordable housing grant from Homes England to support this scheme as well. Therefore, it won't cost them as much money.
So just for that, I've got this one. Lee and Anne, mind turning your microphones off? Just to avoid any feedback. Jeanette.
Yeah, just to sort of follow up on that, I think it's a great shame that we don't practice social value with charities and help them deal with these issues. And yes, I was at the original meeting, Alison, and I know how difficult it was for them and for me to get resistance from officers all the way along. And I just hope that moving forward, because it is a great scheme and it launches into more houses being propagated for this sort of trust, that we don't put the barriers up as an authority. We take the barriers down and have a more smooth process and help them with legal issues and not let it drag for 2 years plus, because that is not good for any relationship between the voluntary sector and a local authority. And if we're going to mean social value and the administration means social value, can we put it into practice?
Agreed, and I would hope we'd be able to, certainly I would like to build on the relationship that I've got with this DLT and the other charity partners, that the advice in relation to what we want to deliver for social housing and affordable housing comes prior to a report that would actually transfer the property.
Thank you, Alison. Lee?
Yeah, just I got mixed up with Derby Road. I'm sorry. Sorry, Jeanette. Long time ago, and my brain isn't as good as it once was. I apologise. It's a case of getting older, I'm afraid. It does happen. So just to set the record straight there. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot about that already too. Never mind. It was something Jeanette said, but it's all right. The main thing is it's happening, so I'm very pleased. Oh, that's it. I don't know when I was elected. I do know when I was elected, but I don't know if I was even a councillor then. And to come up to speed in this ward and connect with some of the issues that are there, it takes a little bit of time. So, but I've got hold of this one as quickly as I could, and I've been trying to support the neighbours as much as I can and as often as I can, and Alison knows by contacting people. So yeah, I've done what I can. I can't speak for other people, of course. So there we are. I'm just glad it's happening. Very good thing.
Thank you, Lee. Anne?
Yeah, please can I just add that we have a very good relationship now with the Trust and Vivid, and we also have an appreciation of the neighbours' position, and we are quite keen to work to get this one over the line once we've got the approval to take it forward.
Thank you, Anne. And Jeanette, I think we've got some exciting work coming up around social value. So watch this space, I think. Good. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions to the Ankerstein Road item. It's a practical solution to the issues set out in the report, and I think this community-led project is exciting, like everyone else on the call. I'm looking forward to following its progress. So I'm very pleased to approve the following: that 1 and 3 Ankerstein Road be transferred freehold to Vivid Homes. 2, that the Director of Housing, Neighbourhoods and Buildings agree an arrangement that ensures Portsmouth has nomination rights to allocate the properties in line with Portsmouth City Council's allocations policy. And finally, 3, authority is given to the city solicitor to complete all necessary legal work to complete this matter. Thank you, everyone. Unless anybody has anything else to add.
No, thank you for putting up with me.
It's a pleasure. That concludes the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Do have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Should I turn the live stream off now?
Yes, please, Anna. Thank you.
You'll still be audible for a couple of minutes, so I'll let you know when it's finished.
Thank you, Anna. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.